The old shop stood nestled between a bustling bakery and a quiet bookstore. The name above the door, barely visible beneath layers of dust, read The Curiosity Shop. Soft, melodic notes drifted from within, beckoning passers-by with their enchanting tune. Inside, the air hung heavy with the scent of aged paper, exotic spices, and something faintly sweet, like forgotten dreams. The shelves were crammed with peculiar artifacts, ancient maps, intricately carved masks, and shimmering crystals.
Pausing at the threshold, her heart thrummed with a mixture of apprehension and excitement. The melody seemed to wrap around her, urging her forward. She took a deep breath and stepped inside, the bell above the door tinkling softly to announce her arrival. The music swelled, embracing her in its warmth.
Ilara's gaze darted around, taking in the mesmerizing chaos of the shop. Every object seemed to whisper a story, inviting her to unravel its secrets. She ran a hand along a dusty shelf, her fingers tracing the intricate carvings of an ancient compass. The music seemed to pulse around her, urging her deeper into the heart of the shop. Behind a counter piled high with leather-bound books, each one seemingly older than the last, sat a man as old as time itself. His presence was almost ethereal, as if he had been there since the beginning of time. His eyes, though clouded with age, held a spark of ageless wisdom. They seemed to have witnessed countless stories unfold. He smiled at Ilara, a knowing smile that reached his eyes and crinkled the corners. "Shopkeeper, welcome, child." His voice was warm, like a comforting blanket on a cold night. "What brings you to the Curiosity Shop?" His question hung in the air, filled with an unspoken promise of adventure.
Hesitating, I was drawn by the music," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. She finally stammered, her gaze flickering to the back of the shop where the melody seemed to originate. The music was hauntingly beautiful, like a siren's call, and by the curiosities. Her eyes darted around, taking in the strange and wonderful items that filled the shop. She gestured vaguely at the surrounding objects, each one a testament to a past she could only imagine. The air was thick with the scent of old parchment and mystery.
The shopkeeper chuckled, a sound that was both comforting and unsettling. A low rumble that seemed to shake the dust from the rafters. It was as if the shop itself was alive, responding to his laughter. "Shopkeeper? Ah, yes. Every item here has a story to tell, a journey it has taken. Each artifact is a piece of history waiting to be discovered, and every visitor child is drawn here for a reason. You are no exception." His words were filled with a sense of destiny. He leaned forward, his eyes boring into Ilara's with an intensity that sent a shiver down her spine. It was as if he could see into her very soul. Sometimes it is the curiosities that choose us, not the other way around. His voice was almost a whisper, filled with ancient secrets. He gestured towards a darkened corner of the shop. The shadows seemed to dance, hiding something just out of sight. "There is something there, child, that has been waiting for you." His words hung in the air, filled with a sense of inevitability and wonder. Ilara felt a pull toward the shadowed corner, an invisible force guiding her steps. It was as if the shadows themselves whispered her name, beckoning her closer. As she moved deeper into the shop, the air grew cooler, sending a shiver down her spine. The temperature drop was sudden, almost unnatural, making her wonder if she had crossed into another realm. The music swelled, its melody shifting, becoming more ethereal, more intense. It was as if the very air was alive with sound, each note weaving a spell around her.
And then she saw it. A glint of light caught her eye, drawing her attention to a hidden corner. An ornate mirror, framed in tarnished silver, stood tucked between a suit of armor and a grandfather clock frozen at midnight. The clock's hands seemed to point to a moment lost in time. Its surface shimmered, not with reflected light, but with an inner luminescence that drew her in. It was as if the mirror held a secret, waiting to be unveiled. Ilara reached out, her fingers tracing the intricate carvings on the frame. The designs were intricate, almost hypnotic, pulling her deeper into their mystery. They were cold to the touch, sending a jolt through her arm. The chill was unexpected, almost as if the mirror was alive and reacting to her presence.
She leaned closer, her breath catching in her throat as she gazed into its depths. The mirror seemed to pulse with a life of its own, drawing her ever closer. The mirror's surface rippled like water disturbed by a gentle breeze. It was as if the glass was a portal to another world, one just out of reach. Her reflection, usually so familiar, seemed distorted, blurred around the edges as if struggling to break free. It was a haunting sight, one that made her question her own reality. Then, with a suddenness that stole her breath, the reflection sharpened. It was as if the mirror had decided to reveal its true nature. It was her, yet not her. The reflection was an uncanny version of herself, familiar yet alien. This, Ilara's eyes sparkled with an unfamiliar intensity, and a confident smirk played on her lips. It was a version of herself she had never seen before, one that exuded power and confidence. Fear, sharp and cold, shot through Ilara. The reflection's gaze seemed to pierce her very soul, uncovering her deepest fears. The music reached a crescendo, its notes vibrating through her very being. It was as if the entire shop was alive with the sound, resonating with her heartbeat. The shopkeeper's words echoed in her mind. "Sometimes it is the curiosities that choose us." The phrase lingered, wrapping around her thoughts like a spell, making her wonder if she had been chosen by the mirror. Ilara stumbled backward, her heart pounding against her ribs as if trying to escape the confines of her chest. She wanted to tear her gaze away from the mirror, but it held her captive as if it had woven an invisible thread that bound her to it. The reflection shifted again, morphing into a kaleidoscope of images, each one a fleeting glimpse into another version of herself, each more vivid and tantalizing than the last.
She saw herself as a renowned artist, her canvases bursting with vibrant colors and emotions, each stroke of the brush a testament to her passion and creativity. She saw herself as a fearless explorer, charting unknown territories with a map and a compass, her heart racing with the thrill of discovery and adventure. Each vision, though fleeting, filled her with a bittersweet longing, a yearning for something just beyond her grasp, a life she could almost touch, but not quite reach.
Then the images darkened, as if a shadow had passed over the mirror, casting a pall over the vibrant scenes. Fear, cold and suffocating, seeped from the mirror's depths, wrapping around her like a shroud. She saw herself paralyzed by doubt, her dreams turning to dust in her hands, slipping through her fingers like sand. She saw herself consumed by loneliness, her heart a desolate wasteland, barren and empty, echoing with the silence of unfulfilled desires. These reflections, though terrifying, held a strange allure, a magnetic pull that she couldn't resist. They were a part of her, she realized, the shadows that lurked behind her aspirations, the fears that whispered doubts in the quiet moments, the insecurities that gnawed at her confidence. The music softened, its melody tinged with a mournful note, as if echoing the turmoil within her, the internal struggle between her dreams and her fears. Ilara realized, with a clarity that stole her breath, that the mirror wasn't showing her alternate realities, but rather the infinite possibilities that resided within her own soul, each one a reflection of her deepest desires and darkest fears, a testament to the complexity of her inner world.